Jack wiped the sweat from his brow as he knelt beside the damaged panel of the outpost's energy generator. The outpost sat on the edge of the Endara expanse, a remote region where human presence was rare, and alien life more common than communication signals. The metal of the generator was cold under his gloves, but the air was hot with dust that blew constantly across the barren landscape. He had been here for weeks, making repairs, sending reports back to Earth, and sometimes wishing he could just disappear into the stars without responsibility. Then he heard it, a small, uneven rustling from the rocks below the ridge. At first he thought it was the wind, but then a faint, whining sound reached him. Jack froze, listening. The sound was soft but persistent, almost like someone calling for help without knowing how. He glanced over the ridge and saw a figure curled up near a shallow crater. At first it looked like a child hunched over, shivering violently. Instinct made him move toward the figure cautiously. He called out, "Hey, are you okay? Can you hear me?" The figure twitched but did not move. As Jack got closer, he realized it was not human. Its skin glowed faintly, almost like the moonlight reflected inside its veins. Its large eyes, too big for its small face, stared at him with fear. The alien girl could have been 10 Earth years old, small, thin, and trembling. Jack's heart sank. She looked starving. Her limbs were frail, her skin patchy and pale where the glow didn't reach. He had no idea how long she had been alone. Maybe hours, maybe days. Survival in this region was brutal, even for humans with technology. For a small alien child, it was almost impossible. Slowly, Jack knelt a few feet away. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. He dug into his pack and pulled out a food ration, a small packet of nutrient gel enough for a day. He held it out. The alien girl stared at it suspiciously. Her lips moved in strange, soft sounds, a language he couldn't understand, but her eyes betrayed her need. Hunger outweighed fear. She reached out a trembling hand. Jack carefully placed the ration near her. She sniffed it, then took a tiny bite. Her eyes widened with relief and she dug in faster. Jack watched quietly, fascinated. Her skin pulsed softly with the rhythm of her breathing, the glow brightening as if she were regaining strength. "Easy there," he said, smiling despite himself. "One thing at a time." As she ate, Jack studied her. Her ears were small, pointed, and delicate, and her hair shimmered with streaks of silver that moved like liquid. Her limbs were oddly jointed, giving her movements a slightly unhuman grace. She was fragile, but there was intelligence in her eyes, a spark of something beyond mere instinct. He waited until she had finished most of the ration. "Do you have a name?" he asked gently. She shook her head. Instead, she pointed toward the cliffs beyond the outpost and made a series of soft, urgent sounds. Jack frowned. She was trying to tell him something. Curiosity and caution warred in his mind. Could there be others? Was she hiding from predators or something worse? He decided it was safer to bring her back to the outpost. At least there she would be protected and he could figure out the rest later. "Come on," he said softly. "Let's get you somewhere safe." She hesitated at first, but the glow in her skin dimmed slightly, a sign of exhaustion. Jack held out his hand, and after a moment she slipped her small fingers into his. Her grip was surprisingly strong. As they walked back to the outpost, she clung to him, pointing at distant shadows, as if warning him to be careful. That night, they sat near the campfire. Jack had managed to get a small cot for her and wrapped a thermal blanket around her. She shivered less now, her glow steady and soft. He tried again to communicate. "Where are your parents? Are you alone?" he asked. She tilted her head, blinking large eyes, and pointed to the sky, then back at him, making soft, worried sounds. Jack shook his head. He didn't understand, but he sensed loss. Survival here had already taken much from her. For the first time since he had arrived at this outpost, Jack felt a deep, personal responsibility. He had always helped humans, fixed machines, explored planets, but this child was something entirely different. She needed him, and he would not fail her. The next morning, the alien girl woke suddenly. Her small body vibrated with energy, her eyes wide and focused. Jack noticed her ears twitched toward the ridge. Then he saw movement, a tall, graceful figure approaching the outpost. Her posture was cautious, but there was an unmistakable relief in her stride. Jack froze. Could it be her mother? The girl's glow pulsed rapidly, and she tried to run toward the figure, but Jack held her gently. She made urgent sounds, pointing from him to the approaching alien. Slowly, he understood. A tall alien woman appeared at the edge of the outpost. She moved with elegance and caution, her skin reflecting a soft metallic sheen in the sunlight. Her eyes, larger and wiser than the girl's, scanned Jack and then fell on the child. A soft, emotional hum came from her throat. The girl reached out, crying out in her language, and the woman hurried forward, taking her daughter into her arms. Jack watched, amazed and relieved. Communication was limited, but the emotions were clear: relief, gratitude, and love. The mother spoke in her own language, a series of tones that Jack could not translate. The girl repeated sounds back, laughing softly through tears. It was clear. The child had found safety, and the mother had found her child. Then the girl turned to Jack, eyes wide and pleading, pointing at him and making soft sounds. The mother looked at Jack, her eyes meeting his. Then she spoke in a language the outpost translator could process. "They are alone. Our home is destroyed. We beg, please allow us to stay." Jack's heart tightened. He had expected fear, maybe hostility, but what he saw instead was desperation and trust. Their world, whatever it had been, was gone. They had nowhere to run. He glanced toward the outpost's metal walls, the small compound that represented order and safety in a chaotic galaxy. Protocols were strict. Aliens were to be reported, quarantined, or relocated. Yet he could not imagine turning them away. "Don't worry," Jack said softly, looking at both of them. "I'll help you. We'll figure it out. You're safe here." The mother's eyes softened, and she made a gentle, approving hum. She placed her child's hand in Jack's, a gesture of trust. Jack realized that this small, glowing child and her mother had already changed him, teaching him something more than duty or exploration. Compassion in the galaxy was more powerful than fear. That night, the three of them sat near the fire. The girl leaned against her mother, the warmth of their bodies mingling with the soft light of her skin. Jack observed them, thinking about how fragile life could be in the vastness of space, how easily it could be destroyed or saved. He wondered how many other beings were out there, lost or afraid, waiting for someone to act with kindness. As he drifted to sleep, Jack felt a quiet determination. The mother and daughter might be alien, but they were no different from humans in their need for care, love, and safety. In the galaxy's cold expanse, survival might depend on strength, but living, truly living, depended on trust and connection. By dawn, Jack had already begun planning. He would advocate for them with the outpost commander, find a way to integrate them into the community, and protect them from the dangers of this harsh region. Already, he could see a flicker of hope in the mother's eyes, a cautious curiosity in the girl's, and a sense of responsibility in his own heart. One small act of feeding a starving alien had led to something much greater, a bond that might change all of their lives. As the sun rose over the barren cliffs, Jack watched the mother and daughter together. The girl's glow pulsed gently, a rhythm of life that had almost been lost but was now returning. Jack understood that this was just the beginning. Their presence would challenge human assumptions, create new opportunities, and perhaps even teach humans something fundamental about themselves. For now, though, he focused on the present. They were safe. They were alive. And in the darkness of space, that was everything. The next morning, Jack woke early. The sun was pale against the dusty horizon, and the outpost was already stirring with activity. Workers moved in measured patterns, repairing panels, checking sensors, and recording readings. Jack, however, had other plans. He needed to ensure the alien mother and daughter could stay. He went to the command center, the mother and daughter following quietly behind. The girl's small hand held her mother's tightly, her glowing skin a gentle pulse that lit their path. Inside, the outpost commander, Lieutenant Rhea, glanced up from her console, frowning at the unexpected arrivals. "Jack, what is this?" she asked, her tone sharp. "You didn't report any alien life nearby." "I know," Jack replied calmly. "I found them yesterday." The girl was starving and her mother came looking for her. "They are peaceful, intelligent, and they need our help. They pose no threat." Rhea leaned back, skeptical. "You understand the protocols. We can't just allow aliens to stay without quarantine and approval from Central Command. This could be dangerous." Jack nodded. "I understand, but they are not dangerous. The girl is a child and her mother has no hostile intent. Please, let me demonstrate their cooperation. Give me a chance to show you." Rhea considered this, her eyes flicking between Jack and the two aliens. The mother's posture was calm but alert, and the girl's glow pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. Finally, Rhea sighed. "Fine, you have 12 hours. Show me that they are not a threat." Jack smiled. "Thank you, you won't regret this." Back outside, he turned to the mother. "We have 12 hours to show them you're friendly. We can do this." The mother nodded slowly, her hand resting on the girl's shoulder. The child looked up at Jack, glowing brighter with excitement. The first step was integration. Jack set small tasks for the aliens around the outpost. The girl was quick to learn. She carried lightweight equipment, helped organize supplies, and even began to mimic human speech. Her first word, "Jack," made him laugh aloud, her pronunciation imperfect but her intent clear. The mother was equally helpful. She examined machinery with keen eyes, quickly understanding the basic principles of the human systems. She adjusted settings, identified inefficiencies, and demonstrated a natural talent for technology. Jack realized that her species' intelligence could surpass human expectations, not in hostility, but in ingenuity. Word spread among the outpost crew. At first, the humans were skeptical, some even resentful. But as they saw the girl carefully carrying tools and the mother adjusting panels without instructions, their doubts faded. Conversations that had started with whispers of concern turned into curiosity. Crew members began to ask questions, intrigued by the aliens' abilities and behavior. While the integration exercises continued, Jack spent time teaching the girl more human words. She laughed when she mispronounced them, and Jack found himself enjoying the simple joy she brought. The mother watched these moments quietly, her gaze softening with trust and relief. For the first time since arriving at the outpost, she seemed at peace. That evening, an alert rang through the outpost. Scouts reported movement in the nearby cliffs, an alien species known for hostility in this region. Jack's stomach tightened. It was the same species that had destroyed the mother's home world. He glanced at the mother and daughter, fear flashing briefly in his mind, then determination. He would not let anything happen to them. The outpost went on high alert. Humans armed themselves, and Jack helped organize defensive positions. The mother studied the sensors and schematics, offering suggestions that improved their chances. The girl, though small, remained near Jack, glowing softly, her energy calming him in the tense moments. When the hostile aliens appeared, the battle was brief but intense. Jack led a group of humans, while the mother and daughter worked with the outpost systems. Using their combined knowledge, they created distractions and traps that confused the attackers. The humans were surprised at how effective the aliens' actions were, realizing that their presence had saved lives. After the skirmish, the outpost commander approached Jack. "I underestimated them," she admitted. "They are remarkable, and you were right, they are not a threat." Jack nodded, relief flooding him. "They just want to survive, and to live peacefully like anyone else." With that, the decision was made. The aliens were officially allowed to stay at the outpost. Rules were adjusted, and the mother and daughter were given quarters within the human compound. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to them. The girl's glow pulsed gently as if expressing joy, and her mother's eyes reflected gratitude that words could not convey. Over the following weeks, life at the outpost settled into a new rhythm. The girl grew more confident, exploring the compound with wonder and curiosity. She laughed at simple things, strange human foods, glowing displays, and the antics of the outpost crew. The mother taught Jack and others about her culture, sharing stories of her home planet's forests, oceans, and cities. She explained their customs, their values, and the ways they solved problems through cooperation and intelligence rather than conflict. Jack learned much from them as well. He realized that humans were not the only species capable of ingenuity, courage, and emotion. The mother and daughter challenged his assumptions and expanded his understanding of life in the galaxy. He found himself thinking about the galaxy differently, not as a dangerous place full of threats, but as a vast space where alliances, kindness, and empathy could create strength beyond mere weaponry. As time passed, the bond between the humans and the aliens deepened. The girl began to teach other children at the outpost simple words in her language, creating laughter and friendship. The mother worked with engineers, helping improve systems and efficiency. Jack often watched them, feeling a quiet pride. One small act of feeding a starving child had led to a transformation not just for her and her mother, but for everyone at the outpost. One evening, as the sun set in shades of red and purple, Jack sat with the mother and daughter outside the compound. The girl's glow pulsed softly, the mother's hands resting gently on her shoulders. Jack thought about how fragile life could be in the universe, how easily it could be destroyed or saved by small acts of courage and compassion. "You've changed this place," he said quietly. "Not just for me, but for everyone." The mother smiled faintly, a gesture of acknowledgement and warmth. The girl giggled, glowing brighter as she mimicked his words. Jack realized that their presence was more than survival, it was hope, a bridge between species that had once been strangers. Then, as night fell, a faint shimmer appeared in the sky. A distant fleet of explorers passed near the outpost, their lights twinkling like stars. Jack felt a sense of connection he had never known before. In the vast emptiness of space, they were not alone. They had each other, and through trust, courage, and kindness, they had found a place to belong. Months later, the mother and daughter had become part of the outpost's daily life. The girl could communicate fully in human words, teaching, playing, and laughing alongside the crew. The mother helped oversee projects, providing insight that no human could have anticipated. Jack often walked among them, marveling at the way life could grow and adapt, even in the harshest environments. Then came a day that Jack had not expected, a signal from Central Command. They had heard reports of the aliens' peaceful integration and the heroism shown during the hostile alien attack. Orders arrived officially recognizing the mother and daughter as protected allies, allowing them to live openly among humans. Jack felt a sense of relief and pride. It was more than safety, it was acceptance. That night, the mother and daughter sat with Jack outside the compound, watching the stars stretch endlessly above. The girl's glow shimmered in rhythm with the twinkling lights, her small hand in Jack's. The mother's eyes reflected the vastness of her lost home world, yet also the hope of this new one. "You saved us," the mother said softly, her voice carrying through the translator. "Not just our lives, but our future." Jack smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the desert air. "You saved me too," he said. "You taught me something I never expected, that trust and kindness are stronger than fear, and courage is not just in battle, but in protecting those who cannot protect themselves." The girl laughed, repeating the words imperfectly but with joy. Jack leaned back, looking at the two aliens, now more family than strangers, and realized how much one simple act, offering food to a starving child, could ripple outward, changing everything. As the galaxy stretched beyond the horizon, dark and infinite, Jack felt a deep understanding settle within him. In a universe so vast, where danger and uncertainty were constants, compassion, courage, and trust were the strongest forces of all. He watched the mother and daughter together, thinking of the long journey ahead, knowing that whatever challenges came next, they would face them together. For in saving a life, they had found more than survival. They had found connection, hope, and a new definition of family. And in that moment, Jack understood the truth of humanity in the galaxy. No matter how distant the stars, kindness could reach across worlds, and one small act could change the fate of man.